The sound of my 6-year-old daughter Sophia crying still haunts me, not the normal tears of a scraped knee or a broken toy, but the heartbreaking sobs of a child who had been convinced that her own mother did not love her. As I stood outside my mother-in-law Beatrice's house that cold October evening, listening to my children's voices through the window, I never imagined that the woman I had trusted with my most precious gifts would become the architect of my worst nightmare. But let me start from the beginning, because every story of betrayal has roots that run deeper than you could ever imagine. 3 years ago, my life was picture perfect. My husband Marcus and I had been married for 8 years, and we had 2 beautiful children, Sophia, who was 3 at the time, and little Gabriel, barely 18 months old. Marcus's mother Beatrice had always been what I thought was a godsend. She lived just 20 minutes away, and was more than happy to help with the children whenever we needed it. "You are so lucky to have such a devoted grandmother for your kids," my friends would tell me, and I believed them. Beatrice would take Sophia and Gabriel for weekend sleepovers, giving Marcus and me precious time together. She would show up with gifts and treats, always ready with a warm hug and a listening ear. When I needed to go back to work part-time, she volunteered to watch the children 3 days a week. I thought I had won the mother-in-law lottery. How wrong I was. The first crack in the facade appeared about 2 years ago. Sophia, now 4, came home from one of her weekend stays at Grandma Beatrice's house with an odd question. "Mommy, why do you not love me as much as Grandma does?" she asked, her innocent blue eyes searching my face for an answer I could not understand. My heart stopped. "What do you mean, sweetheart? Mommy loves you more than all the stars in the sky. But Grandma said you send me away because you need a break from me. She said I am too much work for you." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. I knelt down to Sophia's level, taking her small hands in mine. "Sophia, baby, that is not true. When you go to Grandma's house, it is because she loves spending time with you, not because Mommy wants you to go away. You are never too much work for me. You are my precious girl." Sophia seemed satisfied with my explanation, but a seed of doubt had been planted in my mind. Why would Beatrice say something like that? When I mentioned it to Marcus that evening, he brushed it off. "Mom probably just misspoke. You know how she is, sometimes she does not think before she talks. I am sure she did not mean anything by it." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But something in my gut told me this was just the beginning. Over the next few months, the comments became more frequent and more pointed. Sophia would come home asking why I worked when good mommies stay home with their children. She would wonder aloud why I made her eat vegetables when Grandma said they were yucky, and that only mean mommies forced children to eat things they did not like. Then Gabriel, barely 2 years old, started pulling away from me when I tried to cuddle him. He would reach for Beatrice the moment she walked through the door, crying when she had to leave. When I asked him to come to me, he would shake his head and run to Marcus instead. The final straw came 6 months ago. I had planned a special day for Sophia's 6th birthday, just the 2 of us, doing all her favorite things. We would go to the children's museum, have lunch at her favorite restaurant, and then go shopping for a special outfit. I had been looking forward to this mother-daughter day for weeks. The morning of her birthday, Sophia came downstairs with tears in her eyes. "I do not want to go with you today, Mommy. I want to go to Grandma's house instead." "But sweetheart, we planned this special day together. It is your birthday surprise." "Grandma said you only planned this because you feel guilty for not spending enough time with me. She said if you really loved me, you would spend time with me every day, not just on special occasions." The words hit me like a physical blow. I could see Beatrice's manipulation written all over my daughter's confused face. And I was done pretending this was innocent. That afternoon, I called Beatrice and asked to speak with her privately. When she came over, I was direct. "Beatrice, I need you to stop making comments to Sophia about my parenting. She is starting to question whether I love her, and that is not acceptable." Beatrice's expression shifted from feigned innocence to cold calculation in a split second. The mask slipped, and for the first time, I saw who she really was. "Maybe if you were a better mother, she would not have those questions," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "Those children need stability, and all you do is work and leave them with babysitters. Marcus deserves better, and so do Sophia and Gabriel." Excuse me? I work part-time to help support our family, and the children are with you or Marcus when I am working. They are never with strangers. Marcus provides enough for this family. You work because you are selfish and care more about your career than your children. But do not worry. I will make sure Sophia and Gabriel know they have at least one person in their lives who puts them first. The threat was clear, and I was stunned by the hatred in her voice. This woman, who I had trusted with my children for years, had been systematically poisoning them against me. When I told Marcus about the conversation, he was torn between his loyalty to his mother and his love for me. She is just old-fashioned, Janet. She grew up in a different time when mother stayed home. Maybe you could try to see things from her perspective. Her perspective? Marcus, she is telling our children that I do not love them. She is undermining me at every turn, and you want me to see her perspective. I will talk to her. I am sure we can work this out. But Marcus's talk with his mother only made things worse. Beatrice became more subtle in her manipulation, more careful with her words when adults were around. But the damage to my children continued. Sophia started having nightmares about me leaving and never coming back. Gabriel would cling to Beatrice during family gatherings, crying if I tried to hold him. Both children began asking to spend more time at Grandma's house and less time at home. That night, I made a decision that would change everything. I was going to find out exactly what Beatrice had been telling my children, and I was going to put a stop to it once and for all. I started by installing a small recording device in Sophia's backpack. I know how that sounds, but desperate times called for desperate measures. If Beatrice was going to destroy my family with lies, I needed proof. What I discovered over the next 2 weeks was worse than I had ever imagined. Beatrice was not just making casual comments. She was running a full-scale campaign to turn my children against me. The recordings revealed hours of subtle and not-so-subtle manipulation. Your mommy does not know how to cook healthy food like Grandma does. That is why you are always getting sick at home. Mommy works because she does not want to spend time with you children. If she loved you as much as I do, she would want to be with you all the time. When Daddy was little, his mommy stayed home and took care of him properly. That is what good mommies do. Mommy gets angry at you because she is tired from working. But I never get angry at you because taking care of children is the most important job in the world. But the most damaging recordings were the ones where Beatrice talked about my marriage. Daddy is very sad because Mommy does not appreciate him. She makes him work extra hard because she spends money on things the family does not need. Sometimes daddies have to find new mommies when their first mommy does not know how to be a good wife. If Daddy finds a new mommy, you would still have me, and I would take care of you forever. I listened to these recordings with tears streaming down my face. This woman was not just destroying my relationship with my children. She was systematically dismantling my entire family. But Beatrice had made one crucial mistake. In her arrogance, she had started keeping a journal. And I knew exactly where she kept it. The next time Beatrice took the children for a weekend, I used my emergency key to her house. I told myself I was protecting my family, and I meant it. What I found in that journal was explosive. Page after page detailed Beatrice's plan to save Sophia and Gabriel from me. She had been documenting every perceived slight, every moment of normal parental frustration, every time I had to work late or needed a break. But more than that, she had been documenting her strategy. Day 127. Told Sophia that good mothers never raise their voices. She asked why her mother yells sometimes. Progress. Day 203. Gabriel cried for his mother today. Told him that mommies who really love their children never leave them. He stopped crying and hugged me instead. Day 298. Marcus is starting to see how much stress Janet causes the family. Need to be more subtle but continue reinforcing that the children are happier with me. The most chilling entry was from just 2 weeks earlier. Day 456. The children trust me completely now. Sophia asked if she could live with me forever. Told her that might be possible someday if her mommy keeps making bad choices. Marcus is still blind to how toxic his wife is, but the children see the truth. Soon, everyone will see what kind of mother Janet really is. My hands were shaking as I photographed every page. This woman had been planning to steal my children for over a year, documenting her psychological warfare like some kind of sick experiment. But the journal contained something even more damaging. Beatrice's own words revealing the truth about her motivations. She was not trying to protect my children. She was trying to replace me. I raised Marcus to be a good man, but Janet has ruined him. She has made him weak and dependent. The children deserve better than a mother who puts herself first. They deserve me. I never got to raise a daughter, and Sophia is perfect. She looks like Marcus did at that age, and she has his sweet nature. If I can separate her from Janet's influence, I can raise her the right way. Gabriel barely remembers life before I became so involved. He already loves me more than his mother. With time, Sophia will too. They will see that I am the one who truly loves them. The depth of her delusion was staggering. Patricia truly believed she was saving my children from me, when in reality, she was traumatizing them with lies and manipulation. I had my proof, but I needed more. I needed witnesses. I needed documentation that would stand up in court if necessary, because I was starting to realize this might end up there. I started recording my own conversations with Beatrice, asking leading questions that would make her reveal her true intentions. It was easier than I expected. She was so confident in her manipulation that she barely tried to hide it anymore. Beatrice, Sophia seems to be having some anxiety about me lately. Has she said anything to you? Well, children are very intuitive. They can sense when their parents are not fully committed to them. What do you mean by that? I am just saying that children need consistency and devotion. When a mother is constantly distracted by work and other things, children feel abandoned. I work 15 hours a week, Beatrice. Hardly constantly distracted. It is not about the hours, Janet. It is about priorities. When I raised Marcus, he was my entire world. Children can tell when they are not their mother's number one priority. Every conversation was another nail in her coffin, another piece of evidence that showed her deliberate campaign to undermine me. But I knew that evidence alone would not be enough. I needed to show Marcus and anyone else who mattered exactly who Beatrice really was. I needed her to expose herself completely. So I set a trap. I told Beatrice that I was considering taking a full-time position that would require some travel. I made it sound like I was asking for her advice, but really, I was giving her rope to hang herself with. Travel? But what about the children? They are so young and they need stability. Well, Marcus would be here, and we would have childcare arranged. It is a great opportunity for my career. Your career. The disdain in her voice was obvious. And what about Sophia and Gabriel? What about their needs? They would be fine, Beatrice. Lots of mothers work full-time. Lots of mothers also abandon their families for selfish reasons. Is that the kind of mother you want to be? I could see the wheels turning in her head. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. A chance to position herself as the children's savior, while painting me as the villain who chose work over family. Over the next week, Beatrice's campaign against me went into overdrive. She told Sophia that I might be going away for work, and asked how that made her feel. She told Gabriel that some mommies love their jobs more than their children. She even had the audacity to suggest to Marcus that maybe it would be better for the children if they stayed with her more often while I was pursuing my career. But here is the thing about manipulators. They always overplay their hand. Beatrice was so confident in her control over the situation that she made a fatal mistake. She called a family meeting. Beatrice gathered Marcus, his father Theodore, and Marcus's sister Claire at her house, and presented what she called concerns about the children's well-being. She had prepared a whole presentation about my neglect and emotional unavailability. She suggested that Sophia and Gabriel might be better off spending more time with stable influences, meaning her. What Beatrice did not know was that I had asked Claire to record the meeting. Claire had always been skeptical of her mother's claims about me, and when I showed her some of the evidence I had gathered, she agreed to help. The recording of that meeting was Beatrice's complete undoing. I am worried about those children, Beatrice said, her voice full of fake concern. Sophia has been asking me why her mother does not want to spend time with her. Gabriel cries for me when he has to go home. They are being emotionally damaged by Janet's selfishness. Mom, that seems pretty harsh, Claire interjected. Janet has always seemed like a good mother to me. You do not see what I see, Claire. I spend more time with those children than anyone. I see how they react when Janet comes to pick them up. They are not happy. They would rather stay with me. Because you have been telling them their mother does not love them. I wanted to scream, but I stayed silent. Let her keep talking. I think, Beatrice continued, that it might be time for Marcus to consider what is really best for Sophia and Gabriel. They need a stable, loving environment, and right now they are not getting that at home. What are you suggesting, Mom? Marcus asked, though I could hear the concern in his voice. I am suggesting that those children spend more time here, where they are appreciated and loved unconditionally, where someone puts them first instead of putting career ambitions ahead of family. Theodore, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke up. Beatrice, are you saying you think the children should live here? I am saying that I think Sophia and Gabriel deserve better than what they are getting. And if that means they need to live somewhere where they are truly wanted, then yes, maybe they should live here. The room went silent. Beatrice had just openly suggested that my children should be removed from their home and given to her. She had revealed her true agenda in front of witnesses, and it was all on tape. But she was not done. Marcus, you are my son and I love you. But you have to see that your wife is destroying your family. Those children are being damaged every day they stay in that environment. Sophia is having nightmares. Gabriel is emotionally withdrawn. They need intervention before it is too late. Claire looked horrified. Mom, are you seriously suggesting that Janet is abusing her children? I am suggesting that emotional neglect is still abuse, Claire. And yes, I believe those children are being emotionally abused by a mother who cares more about herself than their well-being. Marcus finally found his voice. Mom, this is a serious accusation. You are talking about my wife, the mother of my children. I am talking about two innocent children who deserve better than what they are getting. Marcus, you have seen how they cling to me. You have seen how happy they are here. They feel safe with me in a way they do not feel safe at home. Theodore stood up, clearly uncomfortable. Beatrice, I think you are overstepping here. These are not our children to raise. They are my grandchildren, and I will not stand by and watch them suffer because everyone else is too blind to see what is happening. That was it. Beatrice had crossed every line, made every accusation, and revealed her true intentions. She wanted my children, and she was willing to destroy my reputation and my marriage to get them. But she had also given me everything I needed to destroy her. The next day, I called a meeting of my own. I invited Marcus, Claire, Theodore, and yes, even Beatrice. I told them I had some things to share about the children's well-being, and that I thought it was time for complete honesty. When everyone arrived, I had my laptop ready with audio files, photographs, and a detailed timeline of Beatrice's manipulation campaign. Before we begin, I said, looking directly at Beatrice, I want everyone to know that I have documented everything. Every conversation, every lie, every attempt to turn my children against me. Beatrice's face went pale, but she tried to maintain her composure. I have no idea what you are talking about. Really? Then let me refresh your memory. I played the first recording, Beatrice telling Sophia that I did not love her as much as Grandma did. Then another of her telling Gabriel that mommies who really loved their children never left them. Then the most damaging one. Her telling both children that I might have to go away forever if I kept making bad choices. The room was silent except for the sound of my children's voices, confused and hurt, asking questions no child should have to ask about their mother's love. Marcus looked like he had been slapped. Mom, how could you say these things to them? I was protecting them, Beatrice said. But her voice lacked conviction now. Protecting them from what? From their mother's love? From stability? From a normal childhood? I pulled out my phone and showed them the photographs of her journal entries. This is what protection looks like to you, Beatrice? A year-long campaign to steal my children. As I read aloud her entries about separating Sophia from my influence, and how Gabriel already loved her more than me, Beatrice's carefully constructed facade crumbled completely. You had no right to go through my private things, she said weakly. And you had no right to psychologically abuse my children. I shot back. You had no right to turn them against their mother with lies and manipulation. Claire was crying now. Mom, How could you do this? How could you hurt those children like this? I was saving them. Beatrice finally exploded. Janet is destroying this family. She is selfish and neglectful, and those children deserve better. Better like what? I asked. Better like being told their mother does not love them? Better like being used as weapons in your personal vendetta against me? Better like being traumatized by an adult they trusted? Marcus stood up, his face a mixture of anger and heartbreak. Mom, you have been lying to my children. You have been damaging them psychologically. You made my daughter afraid that her mother was going to abandon her. I made her aware of the reality of her situation, Beatrice said, but even she seemed to realize how hollow that sounded. The reality? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. The reality is that you have been systematically abusing my children's trust to feed your own sick fantasy of being their mother. The reality is that you documented your manipulation like some kind of psychological experiment. The reality is that you are not protecting anyone. You are the one they need protection from. I turned to Marcus. I want her to have no unsupervised contact with our children. Ever. She has proven that she cannot be trusted with their emotional well-being. Janet, please. Beatrice tried one last time. Those children need me. They love me. They loved you because they trusted you. And you used that love to hurt them and hurt me. That is not love, Beatrice. That is manipulation. That is abuse. Theodore finally spoke up. Beatrice, I think you need to step back and think about what you have done here. These recordings, this journal. This is not normal grandmother behavior. Whose side are you on? Beatrice snapped at her husband. I am on the side of what is right. And what you have done is not right. Claire wiped her eyes and looked at her mother with disappointment that cut deeper than any anger could have. Mom, I cannot believe you did this. Those children trusted you. And you used that trust to hurt them. But I was not done. I had one more card to play. There is something else, I said, pulling out another recording device. Beatrice, yesterday you told Sophia that if she was a really good girl, she might get to live with you permanently. You told her that some mommies are not meant to be mommies, and that is why children sometimes have to find new homes. The room erupted. Marcus looked like he wanted to be sick. Claire was openly sobbing. Even Theodore looked shaken. You told my 6-year-old daughter that she might be taken away from her home? Marcus's voice was barely controlled fury. I was preparing her for the possibility, Beatrice said, but she was grasping at straws now. You were traumatizing her. I shouted. You were planting seeds of fear and abandonment in a child's mind for your own sick purposes. Marcus turned to his mother with an expression I had never seen before. Mom, you are not welcome in our home anymore. You will not have any contact with Sophia and Gabriel until you get professional help and prove that you understand the damage you have caused. Marcus, you cannot do this to me. I am their grandmother. You are a woman who has been psychologically abusing my children. Your relationship to them does not give you the right to hurt them. Beatrice looked around the room desperately, but found no allies. Theodore was staring at the floor, ashamed. Claire was still crying, unable to look at her mother. This is not over, Beatrice said, her mask finally completely off. Those children belong with someone who will put them first, and that someone is me. Those children belong with their parents, I said firmly. And if you try to interfere with that again, if you try to contact them or manipulate them in any way, I will take every piece of evidence I have to the police and to family court. You will never see them again. Beatrice left that day, but not quietly. She slammed doors, made threats, and promised that everyone would see the truth eventually. But her threats were empty now. Everyone had seen the truth, her truth, documented in her own words and recorded in her own voice. The healing process for Sophia and Gabriel was not immediate. It took months of gentle conversations, family therapy, and patient reassurance to undo the damage that Beatrice had caused. Sophia had nightmares for weeks about being taken away from home. Gabriel was clingy and anxious, constantly asking if mommy was going to leave. But children are resilient, and with love and consistency, they began to trust again. Sophia started coming to me with her problems instead of pulling away. Gabriel stopped running to other people when he was hurt or scared. The family therapy sessions were revealing. The therapist explained that what Beatrice had done was a form of parental alienation, a recognized form of psychological abuse, where one adult deliberately damages a child's relationship with their parent. Children are particularly vulnerable to this kind of manipulation, the therapist explained, because they naturally trust the adults in their lives. When a trusted adult tells them that their parent does not love them, children believe it, even when all evidence suggests otherwise. Marcus struggled with guilt for months. I should have seen it, he kept saying. I should have protected them from my own mother. She was careful to hide it from you. I reminded him. Manipulators are skilled at showing different faces to different people. You saw the grandmother who brought gifts and seemed to love spending time with the children. You could not have known what she was saying to them when you were not there. But the most important part of the healing was helping Sophia and Gabriel understand that none of what happened was their fault. Children often blame themselves when adults in their lives behave badly, and I wanted to make sure they knew that Grandma's behavior was about her problems, not about anything they did wrong. 6 months after the confrontation, Beatrice made one final attempt to contact the children. She sent letters to the house, trying to convince them that I was keeping them away from her unfairly. She painted herself as the victim, claiming that she only wanted what was best for them. I took those letters straight to our lawyer. The lawyer was fascinated by the case. I have seen parental alienation before, she said, but rarely this well documented. Your evidence is overwhelming. We filed for a restraining order, which was granted immediately. Beatrice was legally prohibited from contacting me, Marcus, or the children in any way. She was also required to attend counseling to address her behavior. The court hearing was surreal. Beatrice sat across the courtroom looking like a sweet grandmother, who could not possibly have done anything wrong. But when the judge heard the recordings and read the journal entries, her expression changed completely. Mrs. Cunningham, the judge said to Beatrice, what you have done to these children constitutes psychological abuse. You have deliberately damaged their relationship with their mother for your own purposes. This court finds your behavior to be harmful to the children's well-being and grants the restraining order. Beatrice tried to interrupt, but the judge continued. Furthermore, this court recommends that you seek professional help to understand the damage you have caused. Until you can demonstrate that you understand the impact of your actions and can guarantee that you will not repeat this behavior, you should have no contact with these children. As we left the courthouse, I felt a mixture of relief and sadness. Relief that my children were finally protected, but sadness that it had come to this. I had never wanted to take a grandmother away from Sophia and Gabriel, but Beatrice had made it impossible for her to be in their lives safely. That evening, Sophia asked me why Grandma Beatrice could not come to see them anymore. I knelt down to her level, choosing my words carefully. Grandma made some choices that hurt our family. She said things that were not true and made you and Gabriel feel scared and confused. Sometimes, when adults make bad choices, they have to face consequences, just like when children make bad choices. Did she really tell us you did not love us? Sophia asked. Yes, sweetheart. She did. But that was not true. Mommy loves you more than anything in the whole world, and nothing will ever change that. I know that now, Sophia said, giving me a hug. I was confused before, but I am not confused anymore. Gabriel, now 3 and more verbal, piped up. Mommy stays with us forever? Forever and always, my love. Forever and always. A year later, our family had found a new normal. Sophia and Gabriel were thriving. They had developed a healthy skepticism of adults who tried to tell them things that contradicted what they knew to be true about their family. They were more confident in their relationships with Marcus and me, and they had learned valuable lessons about trust and manipulation. Marcus's relationship with his mother remained severed. She had made a few attempts to reconcile, sending cards and letters through other family members, but she had never acknowledged the damage she had caused or taken responsibility for her actions. Claire and Theodore had both cut contact with Beatrice as well. Claire told me that discovering what her mother had done to my children had opened her eyes to patterns of manipulation in her own childhood that she had never recognized before. I always thought it was normal for Mom to be so critical of everyone else, Claire said. I thought it was normal for her to try to control every situation. But what she did to Sophia and Gabriel made me realize that her behavior was never normal or healthy. Theodore filed for divorce 6 months after the court hearing. He told Marcus that he could not continue to live with someone who would psychologically abuse children and feel no remorse about it. As for me, I learned that sometimes protecting your family means making decisions that feel harsh but are necessary. I learned that trust, once broken in such a fundamental way, cannot be easily repaired. Most importantly, I learned that children are far more resilient than we give them credit for, but they depend on the adults in their lives to protect them from harm. Even when that harm comes from other adults they should be able to trust. The experience changed me in ways I am still discovering. I am more protective of my children's emotional well-being, more aware of the subtle ways that manipulation can work, and more willing to trust my instincts when something feels wrong. But I am also more grateful for the simple, everyday moments of motherhood. When Sophia runs to me with a scraped knee, when Gabriel asks me to read him a story, when both children pile into my lap for cuddles. These moments feel precious in a way they might not have before. Beatrice taught me that love is not about control or possession. Real love means wanting what is best for someone, even when it is not what you want for yourself. Real love means protecting someone's well-being, even when it is inconvenient or difficult for you. What Beatrice felt for my children was not love. It was ownership. It was the desire to possess and control them, to reshape them according to her own vision of what they should be. And when I stood in the way of that vision, she was willing to hurt them to get what she wanted. The saddest part of this whole story is that Beatrice could have been a wonderful grandmother. She could have been a source of love and support for Sophia and Gabriel. Instead, she chose to be a source of confusion and pain. Today, 2 years after that confrontation in her living room, my children are happy, healthy, and secure in their family relationships. They remember their time with Grandma Beatrice, but they understand that some adults make bad choices that hurt children, and that it is not the children's fault when that happens. Sometimes Sophia asks if Grandma Beatrice might change her mind and say she is sorry. I tell her that is possible, but that even if she does apologize, it would take a very long time to rebuild trust after what happened. But we forgive her, right, Mommy? Sophia asked me recently. Forgiveness is different from trust, sweetheart. We can forgive someone for hurting us, but that does not mean we have to let them hurt us again. It is a complex lesson for a young child, but Sophia seems to understand it in her own way. As I finish telling this story, I want to be clear about something. This is not a story about revenge, despite the title of my channel. This is a story about justice. This is a story about protecting children and exposing the truth. Beatrice faced consequences for her actions not because I wanted to hurt her, but because her actions were harmful and needed to stop. The recordings, the photographs, the legal action, all of it was necessary to protect my children and to make sure that what happened to us does not happen to other families. If you are a parent watching this and you recognize some of these patterns in your own life, please know that you are not alone. Parental alienation is more common than many people realize, and it can be devastating for both children and the targeted parent. Document everything. Trust your instincts. Seek professional help. And remember that protecting your children sometimes means making difficult decisions about the other adults in their lives. Your children's emotional well-being is worth fighting for, even when the fight is harder than you ever imagined it could be. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope that by sharing what happened to my family, I can help other families recognize and stop this kind of manipulation before it causes lasting damage. Remember, the truth always comes out eventually, and when it does, justice will be served. If you enjoyed this story of justice and found it helpful, please subscribe to Revenge Janet for more stories of betrayal exposed, karma served, and families protected. Your support helps us continue sharing these important stories that shed light on manipulation and abuse. Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to never miss our latest uploads. Together, we create a community that believes in truth, justice, and protecting those we love most.